felt that the limitations in your sensing capacity were not real or in some way fair, and that you should be able to perceive things beyond your five senses, and you tried in whatever way you thought might work, maybe even asking for help from an invisible spirit, friend, or deceased relative, to no avail. Today we're going to talk about moving from this experience of normal or ordinary truncated sensing to knowing what's possible when it comes to expanding the limits of perception itself. What neuroscience has now acknowledged about what extraordinary sensing potential we actually have, and how we can use it to shift our reality through practical ways we can grow our perceptual capacity. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Melissa, and I've been continually and unrelentingly and deliberately bumping up against my own limitations as part of my continual lifelong practice, because I have a profound curiosity about what lies beyond the veil. So I have made it my mission to expand my own perception and have cultivated the courage to see differently, more fully and completely. And I'm not, of course, talking about just with my own physical eyes. I'm mostly talking about seeing with inner eyes, by repeatedly immersing myself in this experience of being the seer and not the seen. Have you ever had the sense that something is there, something you can't quite see, but can kind of sense at the edges of your awareness? Human perception is incredibly powerful, but it's also inherently limited. We see only a sliver of the light spectrum. We hear only a narrow range of frequencies. And even emotionally or intuitively, most of us have learned to filter what we're willing to or open to perceiving through layers of fear, disbelief, and intellectualization, conditioning, or overwhelm. This isn't a flaw in the human system. It's more of an evolutionary challenge. And it's actually more accurately a form of protection. Protection from the unfamiliar and the unknown. But there comes a time on the path where we feel the pull or desire to stretch, right? To expand our perceptual field, to see more, and to see more clearly. In a previous video, I spoke about how the body itself is an intuitive instrument, designed to pick up subtleties long before the conscious mind catches on. Then in a subsequent talk, we journeyed into the non-perceptual realm, the spaces before sound, before knowing, and the quiet field where information arrives without form, where the mind might respond to something the ears didn't hear, and how the matrika shakti, the power and tendency of the mind to want to word things and express itself through ordered sounds, creates our reality through the formation of language. This talk is the next evolution in that arc, because once we begin to open our field of what is possible, and therefore sensing and receiving and perceiving more, the next question becomes, can we hold it? Can we process and integrate what we're being shown? Can we remain present as our awareness expands beyond its previous limits, and calibrate our continual awareness to include or incorporate this new expanded understanding at all times? Here I'm going to be turning to the Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 11, Vishvarupa Darshana Yoga, the yoga of seeing the universal form, here we come upon Arjuna, about to go to war, standing on the battlefield. And he says to Krishna, "If you think I'm qualified, O Lord, kindly reveal your unlimited universal self." And in response, Krishna grants him divine vision and reveals his cosmic universal form, revealing everything terrible, beautiful, terrifying, infinite. Arjuna sees gods, sages, and beings rushing into Krishna's mouth as if into blazing fire. He feels the overwhelming radiance of suns multiplied and can't stop shaking and proclaims, "O Lord of Lords, I cannot keep my balance seeing your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth." And Arjuna bows in reverence and fear and then pleads, "Having seen this universal form, which I had never seen before, I am gladdened, but my mind trembles in fear. Please show me again your gentle form." Krishna obliges, returning to a form Arjuna can integrate, a perception he can hold. This story beautifully mirrors our internal dynamics. Selective listening, orchestrated by our reticular activating system, protects us. Our mind prefers what it knows and expects, right? Yet curiosity, desire, and courage crave the new and the novel, and to see what transcends our filters. Like Arjuna, we may feel drawn to deeper truth, then find ourselves overwhelmed when confronted with more than we're prepared to hold. This is a story of profound reflection upon the limits of human perception and the necessity of those limits, of how expanding awareness requires not just desire and intention, but preparation, integration, and tremendous inner strength. We often say we want to see the truth, but truth in its fullness is freaking intense. Right? It rearranges everything. To expand what we can perceive, not just visually, but emotionally, energetically, spiritually, we have to become capable of holding more nuance, more contradictions, more complexity, more light and shadow. In fact, one of the hallmarks of spiritual maturity is said to be the capacity to hold or balance the pairs of opposites. Both of these things are valid and true and real and present at the same time. And in fact, things are not just black and white. There is an entire spectrum between each and every pair. And some of the most profound quandaries of spiritual experiential understanding involves exploring the intricacies of this entire spectrum and being able to contextualize and then carry on. And this doesn't happen all at once. It happens in layers over years and years and through a multitude of lived experiences that exist in time. Even Arjuna, a great warrior and devotee, could only glimpse the full vision for one moment. There is a highly potent and quintessentially auspicious aspect of delimiting ourselves that goes right into the energetic, psychological, and vibratory mechanics of how language, both received and spoken, shapes the boundaries of our reality. Words are spells. They form vibrations that shape reality. They are sound, intention, cymatic vibration, and meaning, all wrapped into form, sent out like ripples into the field, returning to us as reflection, experience, and believe it or not, confirmation of the intensity and validity of our own godlike creative power. Words are not just modes of communication. They are vibrational codes, frequencies encoded with creative intention and mold-making meaning. I hope that made sense. Words create molds which mold our perception of reality. That's better. Every word we speak is a signal we send to the quantum field. That field, in turn, reflects back to us experiences that match our vibrational language. But, however, before we ever knew this, understood it and grasped the power of choosing our words carefully and consciously, most of us were spoken into being by and through others, right? Caregivers, teachers, cultures, schools, songs, and media. And for many, the early stages were quite distorted. You're too sensitive. Don't be so sensitive. I got that one a lot. You'll never succeed doing that. You won't be able to make a living doing that. You'll get your heart broken. Big girls don't cry. It doesn't work that way. You can't do that. That's not possible. Get your head out of the clouds. Money doesn't grow on trees, right? Be realistic. Don't speak unless spoken to. You're not good enough, smart enough, pretty enough to be chosen, to make the cut, right? These messages are not just lyrics or words. They're some of the very simple yet deeply effective core energetic programs or spells cast that install perceptual limitations. And because perception shapes experience, they limit the reality we believe is possible or are open to experiencing, and shape our thoughts and words around that limited possibility, which confirms itself in our external reality very faithfully. I'm sure you're familiar with the following quote: "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." Henry Ford. And "Nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so," from Shakespeare's Hamlet, right? Neville Goddard says, "Become aware of what you're thinking and you will recognize a law between your mood and your surrounding circumstances, because imagination and faith are the secrets of creation." Napoleon Hill said, "Nothing was ever created by a human being that was not first created in the imagination through desire and then transformed into reality through concentration." And he also said, "The mind attracts the thing it dwells upon." I'm pretty sure you've heard at least one or probably all of those quotes before. How did you respond internally upon hearing them again? Be honest. Did you rail against it? "Yeah, but that's not true for me," or "I have never seen proof of that in my own life." Right? Really? How about we conduct an experiment? Let's reverse engineer this, okay? Over the course of the next few days, take a look at your predominant reality and then trace its origin back, matching them to the thoughts you habitually find yourself mulling over, right? Assuming, of course, you have the capacity to be or are aware of your thoughts, because apparently some people can't and aren't. Really take some time with this, okay? Spend some time journaling on it. Right now, or after this talk is over, take an inventory of what in your life is repetitive, right? Unusually frustrating or disappointing or not satisfying for you or not working out in your favor, right? And reflect honestly about where that cycle, pattern, or habitual way of creating your reality came from. And this is not to beat yourself up, okay? This is about taking your power back, right? It's a process and it takes honesty and discipline. So get clear about the thoughts, beliefs, repetitive experiences that have taught you or shown you reality's limitations, right? In all their forms, and caused you to shrink back, no longer try, no longer dream, give up, etc. When you internalize distorted messages, your inner voice and outer voice begin to echo them unconsciously. Listen to the words you speak out loud in response to your life and the people around you. You may find yourself saying things like, "I can't afford that. I'm not good at that," or "with such and such," right? Technology, language, art, whatever it happens to be. That's just how life is. Nothing ever works out for me. Right? Here we go again, right? People like me never, whatever, fill in the blank, right? People like them always, right? We're always limiting ourselves and others through our words or perceptions and impressions of them, right? And ourselves. And the universe, as a pure mirror, echoes it back in kind. This is one of the most profound and difficult to grasp and implement understandings. The loop of limitation seems to have a life of its own, right? Which came first? But the outer world created it. No, the inner world created it. Right? And it takes an almost Herculean effort to completely eradicate it, right? You might make progress and enter into a stage of life where it seems and feels easy, and then time passes and little by little things break down and you find yourself back entrenched in the old messages again, right? Spinning around in the old stories. I know, I've been there, like many, many times, on many levels, over and over again, right? Thank God I have amazing resources to turn to when I finally see that I've become trapped, right? And need to, reorient myself back to a more empowered inner dialogue and projecting strength of will and authenticity, right? And what matters most is that we can choose a new entry point right now through conscious language and compassionate awareness. When we become aware that language is a vibratory spell, we gain access to a powerful code. We can intervene in the mental habit and, in turn, the material world. We can deliberately encode new frequencies, one that align with a new truth, expansion, and the possibility that our DNA and very souls incarnated at this time to realize and make manifest. Words carry intention, and that intention activates the field. So we begin to speak not as victims of programming, but as co-creators of our reality. So instead of, I can't, try, well, I'm learning to, or I'm practicing, right? Instead of, that's not possible, try, I wonder what else is possible, or how far can I take this? Instead of, well, this always happens to me, try, I'm creating a new pattern of experience right now, right? You can gently redirect your mind with compassion when you recognize the language playing out in your mind that you inherited from your past. You can use compassionate key phrases to help soften some of the disturbing qualities and emotions which keep these messages in place, right? That keep everything moving in your head in that same cycle. So take a nice deep breath, focus on your heart center and solar plexus, and repeat after me. I'm so sorry they told you the world was unsafe and limited, right? Because we're creating a new world, one that's safe and where the old limitations don't exist anymore. I'm so sorry you were born into an unsafe and limited world. I'm so sorry they perpetuated the old paradigm through you. I'm so sorry they didn't know that something different was possible. I'm so sorry they told you you were deluded to think something else was possible. Now let's clear all this out, okay? We're gonna keep going. I'm so sorry they told you that your dreams were unrealistic. I'm so sorry they made fun of you, so you stopped sharing. I'm so sorry they punished you for being real. I'm so sorry you believed them because you were small and you trusted them. I'm so sorry you learned to accept limitation. I'm so sorry limitation became your shared reality that you perpetuated together. I'm so sorry it took so long for you to find your tribe. I'm so sorry it took so long for you to start shifting your reality. Okay, so let that settle. And feel into the space where those beliefs and messages and programming reveals its intricacies and the events that drove those messages home and made you take them on as truth, right? Now, this might be really difficult for some of you. It can be deeply disturbing to see how one experience or a series of experiences, a seemingly innocent thing mom or dad said or used to say to you, or something a teacher did or a classmate said, set into motion a trajectory of increasing contraction, right? So be gentle with yourself. Start softening around it. I'm so sorry that happened. Right? And then choose a new phrase to retune the frequency you now wish to embody. Realize right now that you are not bound by the language others used to define you. You are a visionary being, a field of evolving resonance. Every time you choose to speak with awareness, truth, and alignment, you cast a new spell, a new signal, a new command into the universe. And the universe, faithfully, like a mirror, will respond. This is how we delimit the self, by unbinding the voice, by speaking new codes, and by choosing to resonate with the new reality we now imagine and project into existence. So how can we expand our perception? How can we prepare ourselves to see more clearly? To grow our perceptual bandwidth and upgrade the body's crystalline interface in a way that's sustainable and increasingly integrated with our day-to-day lived reality, we're going to be activating something called novelty salience and begin training ourselves to notice what is different through meditation, right? Daily stillness strengthens and recalibrates your nervous system and expands our inner capacity to hold deeper truths, right? It helps reveal and then dissolve the veils of habit and conditioning that block your perceptual potential. Right? Expose yourself to new perspectives, okay? Do it intentionally. Read something that challenges your worldview and consider it very deeply. Have a conversation with someone who sees things differently, and don't argue or push your perspective, right? Just listen, be curious, ask questions, and try taking on that perspective and moving with it. Step outside of what you think you already know and have entangled your perspectives with, right? You can start practicing somatic listening. Your body picks up on more than your mind can process. So practice listening not just with your ears, but with your gut and your skin and your fascia and your breath. Pause and be still. Take a breath, close your eyes, and sense what's there. We regularly approach new edges of awareness and possibility in conscious increments. You don't need to jump straight into the infinite, right? You wouldn't be able to handle it. Instead, consciously invite and open your awareness to expansion on a day-to-day basis, right? Try asking a new question. Sitting with an unknown or a mystery or a space that you're not rushing to fill, right? Let the field of your awareness expand slowly, noticing more of what's there. And it will expand and reveal itself to you, sometimes in leaps or rushes and sometimes in unexpected moments, right? These practices are like hitting the brain's pay attention button, and they retrain your reticular activating system to stand at attention and seek out novelty and newness when you're able to perceive it, right? It's okay to not see everything all at once. In fact, it's an act of grace, right? But each day offers us the chance to open a little bit more, to see what we couldn't before, to hold what we once rejected, to soften and pull back the filters that were installed by fear and survival, right? As your perception grows, so does your power, not just to witness more, but to create more consciously. So let's keep walking into the unknown. Let's keep cultivating a vision of a more expanded human stage, right? I invite you to imagine a future where we operate from a broader perceptual field, seeing nuance, holding contradiction, experiencing light and shadow without shutting down or turning away, right? This is our next evolutionary stage. We aren't just accessing more data, we are increasing our capacity to hold it, right? We're learning to merge into a field of awareness that blends and transcends our current capacity for depth, and compassion, and creativity, and imagining reality into being, right? Arjuna's journey is ours too. He yearned to see more, and Krishna showed him more than he could fully receive. We are being invited to grow our capacity, to stretch and expand. And as you move forward on your delimiting path and practice, you'll start to notice things you didn't before. New signs, symbols, and situations or exchanges, right, will come into your field that you may not have noticed before, but now you do. And you'll follow threads you wouldn't have followed before, right? And these threads will lead you down paths and into hallways with doors to rooms you never imagined or dreamed existed, right? So stay open, stay aware, practice meditation daily, and learn to listen in a new way. And continue stepping into the unknown. And make it a practice to hold more, to perceive more. And you'll find yourself evolving more fully into a higher awareness. If you haven't already, I invite you to watch my previous videos on intuition and non-perceptual awareness. They lay the foundation for this next frontier that we're coming into. And also begin or continue to deepen your meditation practice with the intention not just for relaxation, but for expanding your perceptual bandwidth, right? Notice what your mind protects, what it filters or declares safe. And practice leaning into curiosity. Step every day towards something you didn't know yet, right? Learn to anticipate the unknown. Let your field of awareness and sense of possibility expand. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time.